It's 4/24/19. And I did not write today, but I did read. We did do the reading. The reading is important. Ernst Lothar. Lothar? We'd say it Lothar. I think in the German it's Lothar. Beneath Another Sun. That's been my, not my go-to, but it's been a source of inspiration for some of the stuff that I've been doing. Now, everybody on Twitter says it's as productive as writing. They say it's as productive because you're still world building. You are still working on the project. I don't think so. I think, Alex, get down from there. I think that, she said no to me, can you believe this? I think that reading, while essential, is not the same as writing. It just isn't, because whatever you're reading, I mean, unless you're a narcissist, it's not, what you're reading is not what you've written. It's what somebody else has written. And you can draw inspiration from that. You can draw plenty of ideas, plenty of background, plenty of things to try to understand, or things that will help you understand more what you're trying to do. But, get up here! Come on! But, it's not the same. It isn't the same. And I don't understand why people try to say it's the same. Because if it were, you wouldn't feel guilty about doing it instead of the other thing. Instead of writing. If reading were the same as writing, you wouldn't feel guilty about reading instead of writing. So don't try to delude yourself, I think. Don't try to delude yourself by telling yourself, it's the same thing, because it isn't the same thing. If it were the same thing, you wouldn't feel guilty about it. There's not a lot that I feel guilty about, usually. But I don't feel guilty about reading today. I didn't write. I read. So that's kind of where I am today. Chapter 2 is still finished. You know, I've just been reading. If I'm going to take any more time away from writing, it needs to be for reading. It needs to be for reading. Well, for reading and running the dog. But it needs to be for reading, because reading is the foundation for everything. I was trying to read Hobbes, but Hobbes is a grumpy son of a bitch, and he can be quite boring. And the English is also a little bit difficult to follow, because it's middle English. It's not modern English. It's not what we speak today. But it's important, because I am going to reference it, you know, a fair bit, as it were, ish. Beneath Another Sun is about World War II and the expatriation of families during World War II. It's actually very sad. Everybody thinks about expatriation in terms of the Czechs and the Gypsies and all of those people, but they don't ever think about the German-speaking peoples who were expatriated because it was convenient, and that's exactly what the story's about. It's about the German families. Well, they're not even Germanic, because they're not German, because they don't see themselves as German. They see them, in the book, they see themselves as Tyrolean, which is totally different. It's as different as an Austrian is from a German, which to somebody who thinks, to people who don't know, do they speak a totally different language? No, they all speak German, but their cultures are different. They share a language, but I mean, we share a language with the English, and we're nothing like the English. For starters, we don't arrest people for stupid shit they say on Twitter. Same kind of... It's a modern day example, but it's the same thing. It's the difference. It's the difference in culture, appreciation, heritage. You know, the things that make your people. Anyway, not important. But that's kind of what I'm drawing on a little bit for how to cure it, because we have to deal with this war. We have to deal with everybody who's been involved in it. We have to deal with the fact that these are cultures. The war, in the book, the war is with a culture that is completely different from American culture. And it's so we're gonna have the same kind of thing going on, where we're gonna have not expatriation, I think. I want to say not expatriation, because somehow that seems more brutal. But the fact of the matter is, no, there will be, because it is brutal. There's expatriation, and then there's concentration camps. And American concentration camps are never like other concentration camps, because we have this innate sense of human dignity. Or we have, at least for the last 160 years, 200 years, whatever the fuck it is now. 180 years. I don't know how long it's been. 150, 160? 160. 160. Yeah. Almost. So, it's gonna be... I'm drawing on a lot, and so that's what I was reading today. And that's why I didn't write. It was because I was reading. And it's a book that you really can't put down. Like, everybody says that about a lot of books, and it's just not true. But it's it's actually a book, like, once you pick it up and once you start reading, you have to have hours to read. Because if you don't, it's just gonna gnaw at you. And when you sit down, you're just gonna lose all kinds of time reading it. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. Everybody should read it. I don't know why it's not required reading in high school. It definitely should have been. It definitely should have been. If I were a teacher, it would be. But I'm not. It is the one book. It is a book everyone should read. I felt like that when I picked it up and I got through the first 8 chapters in a fucking minute. And then I feel like it now. I've been reading most of the afternoon. I'm running Maggie right now. I've been reading most of the afternoon, and I keep thinking about that book and thinking everybody needs to read it. Everybody needs to read it. Everybody needs to understand. Because, Maggie! Come back here! It's important to understand why culture is so integral, why family is so integral, why the cultural heritage you share with your people is integral, and why that makes you a person. Which you understand. You don't understand when you're sitting in the middle of it, but you definitely understand it, or you begin to understand it, you come to understand it when it's been taken away from you. Oh, so that's just my thought for the day. I figured I'd do a video log, because I didn't do one yesterday. I don't know if I did one on Monday either, but it's important to do them. Keep things updated. So that's that.